Hi, friends. Welcome back to Not Again, the podcast that brings college level analysis to preschool level content. I'm one of your hosts, Rebecca.
And I'm your other host, Alan.
And today we are continuing to talk about The Good Dinosaur, which, let's start with the title. What does that even mean? The Good Dinosaur, as opposed to the bad one.
Right, I guess because, Jurassic Park ruined it for everybody. Dinosaurs have to be labeled good so that we don't get all scared. I don't know.
Like you're working in a restaurant and you're like, wait. Has that dinosaur gone bad? No. Look at the label. It's good. It's good.
It's good. Yeah,
it's good until March 12th.
The expiration date hasn't happened. Well, maybe that's what they mean. The asteroid never came. There's no expiration date.
There's no cataclysmic expiration date. Well, hey, we're back in our recording space, which maybe you'll hear a blooper at the end or something about that while we were trying to set up. But I'm still coughing, but not from COVID. So I had a cough pretty much at the beginning of the year. Went to get a test, not COVID. Great. Had a cough for a week and a half more. Started to feel better. That was awesome. Then like the day after I started to feel better, I started to feel worse again, including a fever. Got tested. It was COVID. Now the COVID is gone. I can tell because I can smell again. But the other cough that I started the year with is still here. So hopefully, I'm still a little nasally and hopefully I won't cough too much in the background. Hopefully Radar won't knock over our microphone. This needy dog just scratch his neck until he's happy. There.
That's what I've been doing.
All right. Well, that's your one job is dog neck scratcher.
Aww, yeah. This is a great job.
Yeah. Oh, look how happy he is. Anyway, so yeah, that's that. And we're back in our record closet. I fear our children like to play in this closet a lot. God only knows what the appeal is. There aren't even toys in here. They just like to come in here. And so I put the sound baffling up on the high part of the wall. Warren can reach it. Warren can reach anything. Apparently he's just 10 feet tall. And then the bottom sound baffling, I could just I didn't nail it in. I just leaned it against the wall. So hopefully it does sound better than it has. All right. So The Good Dinosaur, whatever that means. We talked about Arlo. We talked about, maybe I'll do it, it's been a while. Maybe I'll do it previously on. That I'll do it for myself. I will create a previously on so that I can refresh my memory about this very boring movie. Hold on one second. I really don't remember. Let's see here. We talked about their weird, wet, rubbery skin.
Yeah, I've got some stuff to talk about, like Arlo's lesson and Arlo's problems.
Yeah.
Because I've thought about them a little bit more.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'd like to talk about what Arlo's problems are and what he's supposed to overcome and what he learns throughout the course of the movie, which is all kind of not very good in my opinion. Nothing ever makes sense. So first off, Arlo's problems are everything. They are nondescript. He's just bad at every task.
He's bad at life.
He doesn't have, it's not like, they sort of make it out like he's scared, but he really isn't. Overly much, and he doesn't get braver over the course of the movie. He's just bad at feeding chickens. He's bad at all of the dinosaur tasks. He can't play any of the reindeer games, and so he's just bad at it. And he's I think correctly kind of grumpy about this. He's just well, I'm trying my best to do all these dinosaur tasks, and I don't like them, and I'm not good at them. And so I'm a little bit, mad about that, but not spiteful or vindictive or anything like that. He's just well, give me something else to do. And they try some other tasks and he doesn't really like those either. And then throughout the course of the movie, he keeps plugging away at his problems the whole time. The driving force of much of this movie is just him going to the next scene, and so his character never quits, right? He just keeps going.
There's no belly of the whale moment.
There's no
well, there is, but at the very end, so I was going to agree with you because it's not like a steady character arc. It's like a J curve. He's bad at life, he's bad at life, he's bad at life, and then at the very end, he gets caught up in some vines or whatever, has a kind of dream walk with his dead father, and then goes, okay, I have decided to be brave now, will now be brave, character arc complete.
But not an arc. It's even, but because the movie requires him to just go on to the next scene, he hasn't stopped. And so him going on, him deciding to continue is what he's been doing the whole movie.
It's a pretty brave thing too to
It's
continue.
so he's like, just because it's vines this time doesn't mean it's
It's
any
nothing
different than the
particular.
berries or the triceratops or
The
the
cattle
or the cat.
rustling.
Like, he has just decided to continue at every turn. He hasn't learned that he like needs to decide to press on.
Yeah, it's like he pauses intermittently for panic attacks, but like then he just keeps going, and like he keeps encountering other dinosaurs, and the whole question is just it's like Finding Nemo is the whole movie is where's my son, and the Good Dinosaur the whole movie is where's my house. Like, it's not really very different. He just keeps going to different dinosaurs and hoping they're friendly and going where's my house, and some of them are evil and some of them aren't, and they go, we know where your house is, we'll take you a set amount of time on this journey, and then for arbitrary reasons we'll leave so that we can't lead you direct. Like, I mean, we haven't gotten there yet, but the T-Rexes played by Anna Paquin, Sam Elliott, and some other guy just know where Clawtooth Mountain is, but they have their dinosaur cattle to dinosaur herd, and so they can't dinosaur take into the dinosaur house because reasons, and so they're like, we'll take you part of the way on this journey, and you'll sort of be brave ish in that you'll stand up for yourself a little bit until somebody rescues you, but like, it's not an arc.
I guess we're getting back into the dinosaur cattle rustling a little bit backwards, but maybe we'll talk about it from the beginning. But at one point, like, they ask him to go to a rock and yell.
One can only hope that we will get back to this movie in some sort of semblance of order, but like, don't count on it.
Don't count on it.
Yeah, go on.
But at one point, they like, that as I suppose part of his character arc of becoming brave, which he really already is. He has the occasional, like, really he's not unbrave ever, as near as I could tell. But he has to go to a rock and yell in order to basically be bait for the bad guys in the scene, and of course he just goes and does it. But like, that's not something he had a problem with, like being vocal or like,
sorry, I was
or
on IMDb
using his
listening to my
voice
husband.
metaphoric, like the symbol of the voice or whatever. Like, he hasn't had that problem. He's been very vocal about like what his problems are. He's been telling his family this whole time, like, I don't like doing this.
Hey, did you make some good points just now? Because I wasn't listening.
Probably.
Okay, cool. I'll listen back when I edit. I feel bad for no reason. This guy has more money than I'll ever see in my lifetime, but I feel bad that I don't know the third T-Rex's name. So we got Anna Paquin as girl T-Rex and Sam Elliott as grizzly dad T-Rex. I don't know their names still. I don't know the characters' names, but the characters aren't real, so that's fine.
Yeah.
And then I do know that this guy's name, the character's name is Nash, because I remember Anna Paquin T-Rex yelling at him enough to, and Nash sounds like a Southern name. So is that an insult? I don't know.
It's a T-Rex Southern name.
Yeah, because Nashville, right? That's why it sounds Southern.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
I tried not to insult anybody, I swear. So this guy's name is A.J. Buckley. And the reason I couldn't remember who he was is because I don't know who he is, but he is the voice actor for the third T-Rex. He's been in stuff, according to IMDb, but I recognize a couple of the titles, but I don't recognize him at all. So that's that. His name is AJ Buckley. I will proceed to forget this in the next 10 to 17 seconds, but for now, it is recorded for posterity, and we can move on. And we should probably try to get to the T-Rexes. I don't remember.
Maybe.
I really wasn't listening. Were you done with your
Maybe
point?
not really.
Okay.
So like,
let's just continue then.
yeah. So like, they ask him to go to the rock and yell, and he does it.
I tried for the life of me to remember why they want him to stand on a rock and yell.
I get to be bait for the.
It's either to be bait or to scare the dinosaur cattle. I feel like it's to get the attention of the dinosaur cattle rustlers.
I think so, but like,
I've seen this movie a lot, and
so they ask him to do it, and
Sure.
and he just does.
Sure. No,
So-
he gets on the rock and he tries to scream, but his cowardice prevents him from being able to until Spot, the cave boy child, gets up on the rock with him and bites his leg.
Oh,
so he
all right.
doesn't even work up the courage to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So, but like,
He just stands
But
there
this-
until he gets bitten.
but this is something that they haven't like established as a problem for him. Like, it's like he doesn't have a problem like making noise. He complains a lot. To his credit, he has things to complain about.
He screams whenever the dino chickens chase him.
Yeah, all the time. So it's not like he's like meek and timid and unable to use his voice when he needs to. So they just establish a problem he doesn't have and then don't solve it because he yells anyway. He yells only because he's in pain. So it doesn't make any sense. It's not part of his character because, again, his character is bad at everything. They don't establish his problems, and then he doesn't fix them because they didn't establish them.
It's okay. So I think we already talked about this. The Odyssey doesn't have a lot of connective tissue, and that's because Odysseus is already a hero, but he has like one established fatal flaw, which is his hubris, I guess. Was he the hubris one? There were mostly hubris in that time. So it's like he has the thing he needs to overcome, but mostly he's already perfect, kind of like Superman. And he just kind of like goes from witch to witch, punching people in the face, cleverly tricking Cyclops, I have to admit. Like, he used his brains. I pointed this out to my students once upon a time when I was a teacher. Like, it's cool that a story from so long ago, like, valued brawn and fighting prowess, but also valued the power of using your mind, trickery. That's pretty cool to send that message. I'm getting off track. Yeah. So the point is that the Odyssey has a similar idea where he just goes from island to ship to other island to cave, and there's not really, like, a set course. In fact, literally, gods are blowing him off course sometimes just for the fun of it. But like, there's an understandable motivation, there's an understandable goal. The peril feels perilous, and you're invested in it, and there's different peril. Like I said, the Cyclops required more outsmarting than fighting, although they did, stab his eye, but then there was a lot of outsmarting. I'm not saying the Odyssey is the perfect story, but if they wanted it to be the Dinosaur Odyssey, they needed to have an idea of where he started and where he's going to go. First of all, like Odysseus, he started home and needs to get home again. So that's the same. But as far as like character-wise, like what you're saying is he starts as kind of a whiny brat who yells a lot, and he kind of just is that for the movie. And the set pieces they choose are not exciting. For the most part, they're creepy in a lot of ways, and we'll talk about the pterodactyls, and we'll talk about the acid trip. But like, they're not exciting, they're not enticing. Arlo doesn't ever have to really use his mind either. Like I was talking about, Odysseus had to. He just kind of bumbles along and meets dinosaurs who will either help him or hurt him, and that's it.
Yeah, and in each individual one, like his overarching goal is to get home. But a lot of times he doesn't know what the path forward is, but just continues because the movie requires it. Like, if his real goal is to get home, and like, but then he's off doing like berry chores and like, I don't know,
berry chores,
and learning more about fireflies, or doing the whole How to Train Your Dragon scene with Spot. And it's just like, well, like, I guess you have that goal, but it's suspended right now because who cares?
I need to talk about this. Like, it's the middle of the episode, but this has just occurred to me. Our next episode, and this is gonna sound like, for a lot of podcasts, this isn't an accomplishment. But considering I thought we weren't gonna get past episode 3, it is. Our next episode is episode 50.
Really?
Yeah, this is episode 49. And I don't want to talk about the good dinosaur for episode 50, which feels like a milestone. So we're going to wrap this up today, even if we just stop before the ending, or just cut. There's so much.
Cut to the ending.
Yeah, you could just cut to the ending and nothing would really be lost. So we're doing okay on time right now, but I'm just letting you know, for episode 50, we should do something vaguely special. So I had 2 ideas. One is to talk about Pete the Cat, because I like that show. So the idea was like, talk about something you like for episode 50. The other is to just chat about like our favorite childhood cartoons and analyze them, like Gumby and Powerpuff Girls and other things. So we'll talk, but we got to do something. I just don't know what. Anyway,
for our 50 episode spectacular.
Yeah, for our diamond it's not diamond, it's gold. I think 50 is gold. For our gold anniversary.
Our gold podcast anniversary.
It's kind of funny. It lines up pretty closely with our actual anniversary. Huh. We're going to be married 7 years this month. So yeah.
7 years, I think, is gravel. Is the gravel anniversary?
It's just hang in there. It's just hang in there anniversary. Yeah. Just hang in there. So anyway, let's try to get through the plot, I guess, to kind of like establish where we are. Again, I'm hoping nobody has actually seen this movie. Like, I'm hoping that our discussion of the plot is the only exposure anyone's ever had to The Good Dinosaur, because it's a bad movie. So, okay. Arlo chases this yet unnamed cave boy to places. They get knocked in a river. The cave child saves him, maybe, or whatever. Arlo tries and fails to camp. I think that's why I wrote dinosaur wilderness survival training. That's a note I have that I don't have any like context for. I do that to myself sometimes. Yeah. I think I'm gonna know what that means, and I don't. So he's like trying to build himself a tent out of twigs and is so sad when he can't do it. And there's a small furry animal that he feels is judging him off in the like bushes or whatever, and he's trying to prove himself to this small furry animal, and it's raining, and he's sad because he's always sad. I don't feel bad for this dinosaur child. I just don't, which is kind of like a short way of saying everything you just said, which is just I don't empathize with him. I don't feel bad for him. His dad died and he's lost, and I should feel some amount of like sympathy, pain, or emotion, and I just don't.
Okay, we're having trouble moving forward, but I have more thoughts.
Okay, well,
first off, like
I was gonna be like, well, that's fine. I have to go, and then I was like, I can't get out. So let me out, and then you can have more thoughts.
Okay,
I'm leaving forever. Okay. Sorry about our anniversary.
Okay, so there's something fundamentally creepy about like how small his world is. It's just his family, and like so maybe this is just me, but like when it's that isolated and that rural, and like they have their own kind of rules about like making your mark and whatever, like my brain gets a little bit like cultish, like you're missing out on the wider world like on purpose. And so maybe that's just me, maybe that's because of, just yeah, I don't know if anybody else's brain goes there. But like when would he be camping? And like he's not like he's part of the Cub Scouts. If he was part of the Egg Scouts, and he learned about camping and he learned like these tools or whatever, like why would he need to know that? When would he have learned that? We don't like know why he's mad at himself for not being able to camp. Yeah, I don't really know what the whole camping thing is. It's not really meant to establish that he's lost and doesn't know what to do, because like that's very clear. It just doesn't really need to be there. Yeah, there's a whole Barry scene about like for too long about like him trying to find any amount of food that also establishes the same thing. So it doesn't really make any sense. Anyway,
I think if we were to script, I'm back. Hi. I think if we were to script doctor this movie, we would have to establish earlier on. So I talked last episode about how they needed to establish that his siblings, despite being mean to him, also have some affection for him, or at least he has some affection for them. We see more interaction between Buck and Libby than we see between Libby and Arlo. Like, Buck has one major interaction with Arlo, which is where he tricks him into thinking the chickens killed him. But that's it. What else we have to do is, so scenes like the camping scene are supposed to be significant because you have a parallel scene elsewhere in the movie establishing something about camping. So in this case, it would be his dad took him camping once and tried to teach him how to make a tent, and it failed. And now he's on his own and he's trying to remember his father's training, and he feels like he's still disappointing his father, or he gets that motivation of like, this time, Dad, I will do it. I'll do it for you. Something, right? Something to say like, okay, this is a personal goal of his. But in that moment, his personal goal is to survive, and he's just bad at it, as he's been bad at everything else in the movie, as you pointed out. So it's not significant. However, I will say I did like the scene where he gets like, I don't know if he gets trapped or if he's just kind of like moping, but he's staying in the same place for a long time, and the as yet unnamed cave boy tries to feed him. And like, I do like that series of scenes where he's like trying to figure out what Arlo eats. So he like brings him a dead lizard, and Arlo's like, get out of here with that. What are you doing? And he's like, okay. And he leaves, and he comes back, and he's got like a giant bug, and Arlo's like, ew. And he's like, okay, I got this. Hold on. He comes back. He's got some berries. He's like, this? That's a pretty cute scene, or a series of scenes. It's a montage-ish. Like, Spot, I'm just going to call him Spot because he names him Spot, which doesn't make sense because dogs have spots, but humans don't. But Spot trying to figure out, like, I like you, you saved me from this river or whatever. What do you eat? Is pretty cute, and I liked that.
Yeah.
But it does lead to Arlo trying to get him to show him more berries. And the first berry scene is fine. Like, he follows him up a cliff, and the berry tree is being, I mean, this is very Greek myth. The berry tree is being guarded by essentially a dragon. It's like a snake lizard creature. That's the, for those who are curious, that's the golden sheep's wool. Is, well, a lot of things in mythology are guarded by dragons, but I'm thinking like Odyssey style epics and stuff. So, that tree is, it's like a golden sheep's wool that's hanging on a tree that's guarded by a dragon or something. But anyway, so Spot attacks this dragon thing, shows Arlo that he will defend him, and he's like, oh, okay, cool. So, like, that's fine, whatever. Then, I don't even know if I put this in my notes because everything was so boring. Let's see here. I wrote, it's a good thing this wild child who has no concern for modesty fashioned himself a leaf diaper. I understand that we can't have him be naked. I get that. It's just kind of like, if you really think about it, who made that diaper for him? Like, not him. Like, no one did. He's just wearing a very modest leaf diaper that covers all the necessary parts. And I guess we're just supposed to go with it. And
yeah,
and
this is kind of like a lie we as a society tell ourselves.
Yes.
That
it's Adam and Eve with their fig leaves. Like, the whole point was that they didn't care about their nudity.
Before the fall, they did not care.
Yeah,
they were wild and free.
Yeah, so it's just, like, I know you're supposed to suspend your disbelief, and in the context of the movie, I do. But this podcast is for going outside the context of the movie and overanalyzing. So he did, in fact, fashion himself clothing. And yeah, anyway, that's whatever. Okay, so I guess the very next significant scene I found was the fermented berry acid trip scene. So for those who haven't seen this, you can YouTube it. I would say, honestly, don't let children see it. It's a weird thing for me to say about a kid's movie.
This is definitely a movie for children.
Yeah, and I would say I don't like my children seeing it. I don't. I would skip it if I could, but Warren gets touchy about things like that. But they find a tree. They're doing their dinosaur wilderness survival training, part 2, and they find a tree, and there are berries on the ground, and they're feasting on these berries. And Spot, I believe, I skipped over the part where he gets his name, by the way, because that scene, like all others, isn't really. I guess I should talk about it.
It's a comedy scene.
I'll jump back to it, I guess,
Okay.
because the whole point is that it could have been interesting and it wasn't. So Spot, like, looks at the ground, looks at the berries up at the tree, looks at the ground, notices that the berries on the ground are rotting in some way, continues to eat, and I'm gonna not describe this in a lot of detail because I don't want to. The implication for adults in the audience is that the berries have fermented. So they are alcohol now. And they have not a drunken escapade, but they literally start hallucinating the most horrific things I've ever seen in a children's movie. And I've seen Dumbo. And I don't want to describe it. So they go on this trip. And then the joke is they wake up the next morning hungover. Literally, that's it. They're hungover. And I'm like, ha ha ha, kids movie.
Yeah.
It's so funny the way that they're hungover. Like, whose idea was that? We can't. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna go at a steady clip here.
Okay. So we're gonna talk about the Triceratops that has lots of friends.
Yeah.
And
it was an attempt at humor.
It was, yeah, whatever.
And the actor who plays him is a comedic actor.
Yeah.
But I thought, look, the joke is the Triceratops is like a hoarder and also mentally unstable, which shouldn't be a joke because mental instability isn't funny. But the other thing is that mental instability can make our instincts kind of like our hackles go up because it's unpredictable. So I thought even though Triceratops herbivore, he was getting pretty aggravated. He was starting to get, he wanted the cave boy for himself. And I thought this was going to turn into something.
A tussle,
something exciting. But all it was a very convoluted reason for Arlo to name his new cave boy pet. Like, that was it. Like, he just named him Spot, and then the Triceratops is like, yep, okay, bye. And it's like, well, great, okay, cool, glad that was resolved with very little interesting stuff happening in between. So Spot gets named. And they needed a reason for it, and I feel like he could see, this is just them padding the movie, because he could have just been like, what do I call you? Spot, and moved like 2 seconds and it's done. But they put this whole Triceratops scene in there, and
again for comedy, I think, but it's still kind of padding, and it didn't. Yeah, I don't know if it hit as well for anybody else, but I was just like, okay, the bird's name is Debbie. It's kind of funny.
Exactly. Yeah, that was kind of my idea. It's like I could see some people laughing at this, and I would not judge them. It wasn't like, for me, I think by then I was so done with this movie that I was like,
yeah,
no,
maybe that was it.
Like, it's very soured for me. I think the performance was very good, and I can see that comedy hitting well. It just unfortunately didn't really service the plot in any way. So we have this like build up and build up and build up, and the climax of that build up in that scene is he names his, I hate to say pet because he's a human being, but he names his companion. Yeah. And it's like, that's it. So then they go on a berry adventure that I hate. Then they have a meaningful, symbolic conversation. I wrote, my family is dead. Hey, mine too. And that was basically the connection they had, is like Arlo uses stick figures to show that he has a family and that his dad died. He uses a circle, because circles are symbolic, around the stick figures to show like, these are mine. Spot does that too with a bunch of stick figures and knocks them all over to say like, hey, my whole family's dead, so I win. And Arlo's like, man, that sucks. And it's like, okay, now we have that emotional connection. Not that I feel it, but they want us to. It's like, I didn't know Spot's family. He didn't have a family at the beginning, so it's not like I could feel bad. I know I should, but
yeah, it's kind of just unestablished that, like, we didn't get to see Spot, with his family and establish their connection or whatever. It was just like, oh, they're gone. Like, well, okay.
Not only was he fending for himself just fine, but he didn't seem particularly sad about not having a family. So it's just
unestablished.
Again, it's not set up like the camping thing. Nothing was set up about that.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like, I keep coming back to this thought where like there's this different movie, a found family movie.
Yeah,
and where like he gets out of this insular community that is stifling with its rules and like what it's supposed to be and what you're supposed to be. And he finds people and dinosaurs that like understand him better, and he's happier. But like, that's just not this movie.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that a better and more poignant story would be if Arlo's goal was not to get home, but to make his mark on that stupid silo, and to realize that that was a terrible thing to need to do, because he's living up to someone else's standards, and he doesn't need to prove himself, to anyone but himself. Even his father. But kids' movies can't have the message that, like, maybe your parents are wrong, because that's just anarchy after that.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as kids learn, wait, maybe our parents are fallible, it's like, okay, well, then every man for himself. Get the ice cream out. We're going to eat that for dinner, So can't do that. But that is the better story of the found family, of realizing that he has nothing to prove to anyone but to himself. That would be better if he never made a mark on the silo, if he never cared about it.
Yeah, because...
You were letting out air a little bit there. I was like, are you okay?
It's good. He's getting back to a system that still doesn't want him.
Yes.
He's trying to get back into this community that like really doesn't have a place for him. And the things he's learned along the way like aren't going to be applicable to watering crops.
I talked about this earlier. He needed to have scenes with his siblings. He also needed to have scenes with his mother. The only scene that I remember with his mother is when she falls over from trying to carry too much corn and goes like, Arlo, we're not going to survive the winter. Help me, son. Like, that's great and all, but that shows desperation, not affection. And so he's trying to get home to two siblings who ostensibly don't really like him, and a mother who seems pretty indifferent to everything except for the fact that he could help do work to get them prepared for the winter. So yeah, he's getting back to a system that won't be affected by the things he's learned, and a family that doesn't seem to be affected by his loss. We never even cut over to the family. Mulan?
Oh yeah, where they're missing him.
Yeah, Mulan, we see the family missing her, being sad that she's gone, being worried for her, praying to their ancestors to keep her safe. We don't even get a scene like that. Not that I need dino ancestors, but like them being sad, Buck feeling bad that he teased him.
Yeah, that's a very important missing scene. Yes. Is like Buck going, oh, I wish I wasn't so hard on him. Like, we need him now. Like,
he's my brother.
I love him. Yeah. And that's not there.
I don't even, my brain I guess I'm always foggy by the end of this movie, but I don't even remember him getting home. He must, right? Like at some point, I think maybe his mom sees him and is happy, but like that reunion scene is so insignificant and unimportant that I don't even remember it. I have to go watch I will have to admit this now. I didn't finish watching this movie for my notes. I couldn't, because it was killing me to keep watching it. So, because I've seen it enough to like basically talk about it, but I don't remember it. Even though I've seen it so many times, the ending is just, I've seen the ending of WALL-E enough where I could like imitate every boop and beep the robots make, because I've seen it and I've memorized it. And now I can sing that one song from Hello Dolly if I wanted to, but I don't. But with The Good Dinosaur, I remember Spot's ending, but not Arlo's.
Okay, well now I'm very confused. Is that just not Spot's family?
No.
It's just other humans?
So we'll talk about this briefly.
Okay.
So they get almost to Arlo's farm, and this is the only thing they decided to set up. This is the only thing in this movie. So this isn't the first encounter that they've had with the other humans.
Okay.
Like there's at least one other where they hear the howl and Spot like tries to go follow it. And that time Arlo's like, no, you're staying with me. Right? I found a lesson. If you love him, let him go. I don't even know if it was, I don't think, I'll cut that out if I already found that lesson. But, so the idea is like he loves him and he should let him go be with his own kind, which has its own
its own problems.
But he needs a family, and that's fine.
Okay.
But the cave people who show up, so we have one thing, which is Spot saying in his own way his family died by knocking the sticks over. The people who show up all have gray-white hair to show that they are not his family, because dominant genes.
Okay.
If everyone in that cave family has white hair, Spot would too.
Okay.
We decided.
I thought that was a little weird. I just assumed he was wrong about his dead family.
Or he was trying to say, like, I've lost them.
Yeah. That's what I mean, I guess I just didn't get it.
No, it took me several. It took me several tries to decide, because I was right there with you, where I was like, "Oh, his family's right there."
Yeah.
Maybe when he knocked the sticks over, did he mean like I can't find them? But like then I looked at them, and I looked at him, and I was like, no, they purposely they gave them long faces and very distinctive noses and different hair color.
Okay.
And I was like, I think they made all these decisions to make it clear this would be an adoptive family. So. Then Arlo's like, okay, I've learned that if I love you, I should let you go. And this is another one of those things where I'm like, he could visit.
Or just stay there. Just stay with them if they're so great.
Yeah, have the human family stay with you. Have them visit. It's not like, I know that it's more emotionally hard-hitting if it's goodbye forever, but it just doesn't have to be. Spot knows where he lives.
They can just hang out too, yeah.
They just don't have to say goodbye forever.
But his found family, Spot, is so much.
He should go live with Spot's family.
He should go live with Spot's family.
Yeah, they seem nice. They follow them.
He shouldn't go live with these random. He shouldn't give Spot to these random people. Frankly, he's wrong to let him go.
Yeah, stranger danger. Come on.
They could be creepy. You don't know.
We have to talk about the pterodactyl cult. And I don't want to.
Yeah.
But this movie keeps having things that wasn't a weird cut, by the way. I just cut off my husband to talk about something else.
That's fine. There's a lot of weird cults in this movie.
This movie has a lot of weird, not good for kids stuff. So I'm going to very quickly say this. They weakly establish that Arlo is afraid of storms because a storm was the precursor to his father being killed. And then a storm happens.
Reasonable, by the way.
It's reasonable to fear storms, but they establish it, and then storms happen, and he's scared, and there's some pterodactyls, and I think he loses his way because again he's just trying to get home, and that's pretty much his only motivation. So some pterodactyls fly around, and he calls out to them, hoping they're friendly, and they act like the evil version of those people from that one episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's been a while since I brought up Avatar. Secret tunnel people.
Oh yeah, the nomads.
Nomads.
Hey, I'm a nomad too.
Yeah, I was gonna say hippies, but I don't even know if that's derogatory. Did that word change? It sounds insulting now.
Yeah.
But free spirited folk.
Yeah.
But they're evil. So they're like, oh, we follow the storm, and the storm brought me my new name, and it's all a cult, and it's really weird. And then he gets Arlo to help him find survivors, Spot, I guess. Spot and Arlo. Spot's sniffing them out, right? And he finds a little like fox-like creature with big like what is that? The littlest pet shop or whatever. There's like
Yeah,
these
okay.
toys that have like
Yeah, big eyes are symbolic for cute and
but
young and
they went
yeah.
too far with the littlest pet shop stuffed animals. The eyes are just too big and it's like creepy. They went too far with the big eyes. So it looks like that. And he is like, thank you so much for helping to find the survivor. And then he opens his maw and shoves the small, adorable creature in, and the tail is still hanging out of his mouth. And then the other two pterodactyls fight over the disembodied tail. They pull the tail out of his mouth, but not the rest of the body. Should there have been a trigger warning for this?
Yeah,
I don't even know.
I mean, I think it's rated PG, but that's pretty rough. That's
I'm
more
about,
than
like, I'm talking about it, and I'm like, am I going to traumatize people talking about it? Like, it's that bad.
This is pretty rough business.
Like, a lot of kids know how predators work, but that is the most visceral and obvious display that I have ever seen.
If you're watching a nature documentary, it's and a lion kills a zebra, it's not played for laughs, you know, like it's different.
Yeah, like, speaking of lions, like Simba and Mufasa acknowledge that they eat antelope. They also try to justify eating the antelope in a way that only monarchs could. Don't worry, the lower class exists because we help them too. But like, they only talk about it. They do show Scar throw a zebra leg to the hyenas, and even that is a little bit much, because one of the hyenas is slurping up skin. I'm really sorry. I didn't do this. Disney did this. But even that is like one step removed because it's a leg. So let me throw this at you. He's holding the cute animal. Spot barks or something, and Arlo looks away. When Arlo looks back, the animal's no longer there, and the two other pterodactyls are fighting over its tail. A lot less, like, I would have been okay with that. Not happy, but like okay with it. Because the worst of it is gone, and you only have implications left. You know? But that was horrifying to me, to just watch him guzzle down this living creature, still alive, eating it whole. And it's just like, I don't want to see that. I don't want cults in my children's movie, all of that. But yeah, so these are the antagonists.
Okay, so I just want to,
of the film?
other than just like dinosaur versus nature trying to get home.
Yeah.
These are the enemies. I want to talk more about cults because I think I've identified at least 4
in this movie. Okay.
So they're maybe not the cattle rustlers. They're in my list, but like they're insular. They have their own rules and regulations, and I don't know. Like,
it's creepy.
It's a little creepy. Arlo's family. First off, like I'm getting like weird vibes. Maybe it's just me. I mentioned this a little earlier, but like they don't have contact with the outside world, and that bothers me. And they're, you know, like it's when they're too reliant on each other, and they're saying that like, oh, we're gonna starve to death if we don't like if we don't do this stuff. It's like, why don't there's no contact with other groups?
You don't like ask your neighbors for help or hire a helping hand,
or like, you know, like we can't, you know, trade our corn or chickens for other stuff.
I don't
like,
want to say you've studied cults, but you've like watched
I know,
some videos and listened to some podcasts and stuff about it, right?
I'm tangentially related to them enough to know that to be an interest
to look for warning signs.
Maybe to say, yeah. So that's kind of weird. Debbie, the cult of Debbie is definitely a thing.
Well, if there were other Triceratops, yes, automatically, because it's just
he's the fearless leader.
Yeah, I guess like the cult.
He's collecting people.
Yeah,
that's not
true.
cool.
Yeah, he's collecting creatures and making them work for him to his benefit. Yeah, I can see that.
That's a little weird, and so it's just, I mean, like,
there's a lot of vibes in this movie about like,
you go back to your own people, and you belong to things,
and don't talk to these others,
and don't get out of that.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is a little weird.
So anyway, the pterodactyl one is the worst, but they're the antagonists, except that they only show up once or twice to be antagonists, and then they leave again. And like the cattle rustlers have just as much screen time as this ostensible antagonists. And so it's like, and what are they? So their threat is that they want to eat Spot, whom Arlo now cares about. And that's okay. I can see you being scared about that. But like, it's more that they like come with the storm. Like the storm wasn't enough of a fear factor for him to make for the movie to justify like, oh, he can just be afraid of storms. So they also have to throw in these pterodactyls. Now I'll tell you one thing. Again, I liked this one scene. I'm sure you've seen it. Where I think it's the final confrontation with the pterodactyls. The storm is brewing. There's clouds in the sky, and they do like a Jaws thing basically, where it looks like a shark fin, only it's upside down because it's in the air and not in the water.
Yeah.
And it's the pterodactyl's wing. I liked that actually, just as a visual. I don't think that like it doesn't like it's not like Arlo's like, oh no, a shark, because one, I don't think Arlo would know what a shark is, and two, it's in the sky, so it's more for the audience. Like it's something that's painful. You're painfully aware it's for you, right? Like that scene is for me, the human being watching this cartoon, but it looked cool, so you know. I
want to talk.
Okay,
we're not gonna get there. I want to talk more about the Good Dinosaur as a name, real quick.
Oh, okay.
Because
he sucks.
Well, now I'm thinking about what implies a bad dinosaur, and we have very clear delineation between good dinosaurs and bad dinosaurs. Now that I think about it, and I don't know what that is. I can't pinpoint why some are good or some are bad. So in The Lion King, the predators are still good because they're in tune with nature.
Right, they're part of the
circle of life. The pterodactyls eating animals is still in tune with nature, as near as I could tell. They're not supposed to be doing anything else.
Yeah, but they're doing it with like evil looks.
But that again, and the dinosaur herders are herding animals to presumably to eat.
Yeah, but they're doing that as work. So is
it
their job? The cattle rustlers are evil because they're trying to steal cattle. The pterodactyls are evil because they're trying to take advantage of storm victims. They should be raising their own animals to eat, not stealing them.
So it's just pure modernism. It's just work.
Yes, it's capitalism.
Well, it's work equals.
Actually, that might be communism. Like work equals.
No, I think it is modernism. It's like the Empire State Building.
Why am I arguing this? Like I know these.
I don't
words.
know, but like
I should shut up.
It's definitely pre-postmodernism where like anything is valid, right. Or just like anything that you find interesting is valid. It has to. Okay, so it's just that it's the buckle down if you're hardworking, if you're like the Arlo's family,
yes.
and you farm, or you're like the cattle herders and you herd.
Then you deserve to live.
And then you deserve to live.
You're a good dinosaur.
And you're a good dinosaur. But if you are opportunistic in any way,
then you're a bad.
Then
dinosaur.
You're a bad dinosaur.
Bad dinosaur. No eating the storm victims.
Well, the storm is part of nature as well.
No, the storm hates you.
But I guess
the storm
is evil. So okay, I'm like, oh man, there's a lot here. To be like what? Because the depths of nature.
Look, we're at 45 minutes.
We're at 45 minutes. I'm gonna think about this more and do like a thing. I don't know.
We'll talk about it. On episode 51, we'll do like a good dinosaur retrospective.
Okay.
Actually, that might happen because we also have to do an Elmo's World retrospective because Ari watches only Elmo's World.
He loves Elmo.
As soon as Elmo is off the TV, Ari's like, "What? Okay, well now what? Like, I guess hold me. I need this."
He plays and runs with his brother.
He's just he loves playing, but he only watches TV when Elmo's on it. So let's just we talked about a lot of this, so I'm only going to establish this plot wise. He gets saved from the pterodactyls the first time by T-Rexes because people like T-Rexes so much. The T-Rexes have to be good guys, so they reconcile them being good guys but still being carnivores by having them herd dinosaur cows, as opposed to just eating Arlo. There's some banter between Anna Paquin and PJ Buckley. I don't know what his name is anymore. I told you I was going to forget it. And it's just not funny. It's supposed to be. It isn't. However, Sam Elliott's voice will always be welcome in my life. And so anytime he's talking, I'm okay with it. They take him to a campfire. They teach him life lessons. They make him scream on a rock for reasons that even when I'm watching the movie in real time, I don't understand. It's not like I can't remember their reasons. I don't understand their reasons even when they're right in front of my face. They defeat some cattle rustlers. Arlo learns that he can yell, but he already knew that because when chickens chased him, he yelled. There's a final confrontation with the storm that involves him falling off a cliff into some vines until he's all like tangled up. He tries to give up Belly of the Whale and has a dream walk with his father. And he does, like, his father's trying, so in the dream, his father's trying to like lead him away from Spot and be like, you don't need him. And he's like, no, Dad, I do. And this is a good moment, but it should have been the entire, like, it should have been the point of the film. Like, he's like, he goes again, his whole life has been up to that point trying to earn his father's respect and love and approval. And in this crucial moment, he chooses to diverge from what his father would have wanted, which is cool. It's a good thing. It should have been the actual lesson, though. I can't say I found a lesson. The lesson should have been, you know, go your own way and go with your instincts and trust yourself. You know, don't always live your life for somebody else, even if that somebody else is someone you love. But anyway, he gets, with the power of his newfound courage, he gets free of the vines, rescues Spot, there's fighting.
Oh, I wanted, I mean...
We've moved beyond my notes here, because...
Well, the problem, I mean, like...
It is at the T-Rex campfire that it hits me this movie is boring. That's my last note.
So, no, but he goes to rescue Spot, but, like, the pterodactyls just captured him for, like, a really long time. And enough for him to have, like, a spirit journey in the vines and to, like, climb up a mountain and all that sort of stuff. So, like, their motivations aren't really clear.
Yeah, they just ate the other
Yeah, they just ate so they're not eating Spot. They didn't need to go to the top of Clawtooth Mountain and be menacing in order to go do that. Like, they didn't really... I don't really understand what's going on there.
This is a thing in... a show we'll never cross fingers we'll never talk about on this podcast. The How to Train Your Dragon Riders Rescue Riders, whatever it was show. Yeah. That horrible spin-off show. It's like there were predators and there were evil dragons and there were like dangerous dragons, but none of them could actually like do anything because it's a kids show. So they always had some reason to put off why a murderous dragon would murder. Like, I'm gonna murder you, but later, is a weird motivation, especially when we've already established that these pterodactyls are super okay with murdering in the moment.
Yeah, they're just like, they're all about it. They're just like one and done, you know? Like,
sounds like the book that the lead pterodactyl would write, Murder in the Moment by Thunderclap. So there's no reason for them to put it off except that they can't viciously murder this cave boy child.
Yeah, well, and he also, like, Arlo has to get him back.
Yeah.
So they just, like, forgot that...
So they go to their nest.
Yeah, he forgot that they would...
This is a very Looney Tunes thing of, like, I'm not going to just eat this thing I've caught. I'm going to, like, put the napkin around my neck, and I'm going to get my fork and knife, and I'm going
to tie him to the railroad tracks.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm going to imagine what it'll look like when they're finished roasting. I'm going to cut carrots. I'm going to, you know, read a cookbook. Anything to prolong the actual murder so that we can find some reason to avoid the murder. And, yeah. So again, we're past my notes, but basically he rescues Spot and finds his way home, and I think his mom's pretty happy about that. And oh yeah, he just lets Spot go off with a different family because they look nice and they have a kid of their own, and he'll be happier with them. And that's it. Goodbye forever, even though you could just come by and hang out. Goodbye. And then they, like, yay, happy reunion, except the real problem before he got lost, again, we've said this enough, but like the real problem was that they might not have food to survive the winter. Like, Arlo getting home implies that they might have his labor back for like harvesting, but it doesn't really clinch that they're gonna survive the winter.
They might have survived better without him.
Yeah, unless Ma remarries.
One less mouth to feed.
Yeah, seriously. Maybe she's going to go on dinosaurmatch.com and find somebody.
But we have not established that they have any connection to the outside world, which is part of the reason why it's so creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not like they're like going to get more help.
Look, even like I know farms don't have neighbors the way like city and suburb people do, but they still have other farms that they have connections with.
Yeah, or like there's a town somewhat far away that they can get to like resupply certain things.
You go to town for the post office and for the merchant and stuff, yes. So simply because I don't want to do another episode of The Good Dinosaur. I know you're going to think of a lot of things to say, so just write them down, and in episode 51,
maybe
we'll talk about it.
For our Ko-fi only listeners, you can hear me rant about like
that'd be great bonus content.
Why the storm is bad nature, but I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't done Patreon bonus content in about 3 years, so you do that. One of these days, you just grab the mic and just go to town, and that's patreon.com/potato lady, because I am Potato Lady Podcast Reviews. We are at ko-fi.com/not again. We have I have a buy me a coffee. That's more like me. If you really hate Alan and you only want to support me, you could go to buymeacoffee.com/potato lady.
Oh, do that.
Yeah.
If you're like this half of the podcast is, I don't know why you're listening at this point. We're 50 minutes in.
Yeah.
If this half of the podcast stinks, I'm going to definitely
write a note to me and be like, I hate your husband. I will love it. Are you kidding?
We'll frame it.
What
are you talking about?
Just like it'll be buy me a potato, because that's my like emoji, and then you'll just write a note like, I like you just fine, but God, your husband sucks. And I will laugh for days, and it'll be the best gift you've ever given me, and we'll frame it, and on our anniversary we will look at it and laugh. And anyway, so those were our support sites. I wrote a young adult novel. It's called Hellbound. It is available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon, both digitally and in print. You can find those at bit.ly/hellbound1, the number 1, and bit.ly/hellbound2. You could also go to gum.co/hellbound if you want to name your own price for a digital PDF. And that's enough advertising, I think. Next episode, our 50th episode, we're definitely going to do something so special.
Our 50th episode spooktacular.
We're going to knock your socks off.
Put on extra socks.
Yes, put on 3 pair of socks, because we're going to knock off the first 2 at least. We're going to go for the 3 pair, but 2 for sure.
Yeah.
And until then, thank you for listening, thank you for existing, and thank you for helping us to maintain our marbles for just one more week. We will see you next time for our 50th anniversary spectacular knock your socks off adventure. Until then, I am Rebecca.
And I'm Alan.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye-bye.